Today we gather to mark a proud and meaningful moment in the history of Technion, the naming of the Faculty of Aerospace Engineering in honor of Stephen Klein. This faculty has long stood at the cutting edge of aeronautics and space research, shaping generations of engineers and innovators who serve Israel and the world. Today, with deep gratitude, we welcome the Klein name into that legacy. I invite Professor Uri Sivan, President of the Technion, to deliver his words.
Good morning. Steve, good morning. Wonderful as always having you here. I mean, we've known each other for ages, and it is a true pleasure. And also welcome to all of your guests into here. I know that for some it's the first visit, but I should warn you that Technion is a family, and like any other family, once you get in, you cannot get out. That's so. Don't tell me later that you were not warned. I mean, you were warned. And of course, all of our friends from all over the world, the Board of Governors, friends, faculty, Scott, chairman of the board, Peretz Lavi, the former president, my predecessor, who actually started the process, which now culminates 5 years later, 6 years later. I'd like to take you back to 1949. All right? 1949, Israel is recovering from its war of independence. Terrible war. Total population in 1948 was 600,000 people, that's all. And during that war, we lost 6,000 people. 1 in every 100 people paid with his or her life for Israel's independence. Waves of immigration. I don't know if you're aware of that, but the population of Israel doubled between 1948 and 1951. Waves of immigrations. Food shortage, food rationing. You get stamps to get food. People, thousands and thousands of people are living in tents or in shacks. And David Ben-Gurion, the prime minister at that time, which was an incredible visionary, stands up and says, Israel needs a department for aeronautical engineering. And to a large extent, he kind of drafted the strategy, the defense strategy of Israel that holds true until today. And what David Ben-Gurion says is that the country is small, we don't have any strategic depth, we have nowhere to withdraw to, and therefore Israel will need a strong air force, and to have a strong air force, it will need a department for aeronautical engineering. What a vision. Now, at that point, in the whole country, there were less than a handful of people that could even spell aeronautics right. Try to spell it, you'll find out that it's complicated. So what do? I mean, food rationing, no housing, no money. What do? What he did was, in a way, to order the Technion to establish an aeronautical engineering department. And again, since there were no people who could spell that right, Technion started to look for experts outside of Israel. And two in particular, two personalities, very important personalities contributed. One was Sidney Goldstein, who actually joined the the Technion, and von Karman, who is one of the pioneers of aeronautical engineering and helped tremendously in setting up this department and, you know, putting the seed from which everything grows. Fast forward, 2023, October 7, 2023, and missile and rocket barrages from all over the, I would say, the Middle East, of course, from near, from Gaza, from Lebanon, a little bit from Syria, but also from Iran, from Yemen, a few from Iraq. 40,000 rockets and missiles, 40,000 rockets and missiles have been fired on Israel since October 7th. All sizes, all shapes, from very small rockets to ballistic missiles that carry tons of explosives. And still the state of Israel continued to function. We never stopped. I mean, life in Israel never stopped. Industry continued to work. Universities continued to teach. Our overall life continued, and of course the IDF was able to function. Air bases were still functional under massive attacks. And the reason we were able to do that, which is kind of a miracle, was to a large extent this faculty. This faculty of aeronautical engineering, because many of the engineers that actually developed those systems, the Iron Dome and David Sling and Aero systems, Aero 2, Aero 3, are graduates of this faculty. And the same is true for drones. The same is true, I mean, is the reason why we have our own satellites and many, many central technologies for the security of Israel. And so we are very proud in this department. Daniela here is smiling. We are very proud of the wonderful faculty we have here, of the students, of the support we get from you, our friends. And to Steve, I would just like to say that it's a great honor for us that this department will carry your name. And it's also a great responsibility that this department is carrying your name. So Mazel Tov, and thank you. Thank you so much.
I now invite the Dean of our department, Professor Daniele Rave, to greet us.
Dear friends, colleagues, students, and honored guests. I first met Steve in June 2019. It was around noon on a scorching hot day that, for me, has started at 4 a.m. That morning, my students and I were out testing an unmanned aeroelastic demonstrator, an ambitious project we had worked on for over a year. It was a large flying wing, about 10 feet span, weighing about 22 pounds. We were nervous, but excited. The test flight lasted 30 seconds. The vehicle launched from a moving car, my car. So it was launched and then gently glided to the ground. That was it. It didn't crash, but it didn't fly as we hoped. We were devastated. At noon of that day, one of my students and I met with Steve. As always, Steve was eager to meet our students and hear their stories. We debriefed the flight test, and Steve, the pilot, listened carefully. He understood. He grasped the magnitude of effort it takes to design, build, and fly an aircraft. He understood the disappointment, but also the pride and the learning that came with it, and was immensely supportive. We left that meeting not discouraged, but proud and ready to try again. When I listen to Steve speak today, it's the same feeling. He gets us. I'm struck by how precisely Steve understands the role of the Israeli aerospace industry, the Air Force, and our department, and how deeply he appreciates the ties between them. That clarity is no coincidence. It reflects the strength of Steve's long-standing relationship with our department, the Technion, and Israel. We are deeply grateful for this relationship. It's a source of pride and inspiration. And today, as we become the Stephen B. Klein Faculty of Aerospace Engineering, we commit to honoring that legacy. We will continue to train generations of talented, committed aerospace engineers. We will continue to advance cutting-edge research, research that serves humanity, but above all, supports the security of our country. And we will strive always to make you proud. Thank you.
I now invite Mr. Klein to speak. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. They say in Israel, if you wait long enough, you'll end up being a general, a politician, or a donor to the Technion. I haven't hit the first two, but I must confess, I think I struck number 3. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here. This has been 6 years in the making. It's very exciting for me. I've been involved in charities for over 50 years, both here in Israel and in the US. And this is my most important project to date. I want to make a few thank yous to the President, former President Peretz Levi, to the present President Uri Savan, to Tal Shomer, the past Dean of Aerospace, to Danielle, the present Dean, to the Scott and the Board of Governors, thank you very much, and to Michael Waxman from the American Technion Society, wherever he may be. And lastly, I want to thank all my friends from America, from Australia, all the professors and students who have come here today. It means a lot to me. I waited a long time for this. We've worked hard. All the group names that I've mentioned, we've all worked very hard to make this happen. And hopefully, Eitan, wherever you may be, the architect for the project, we're going to get a shovel in the ground soon. Is that true? Absolutely. Okay. I got confirmation of that. So let me tell you a little bit about my background. My dad brought me to Israel 10 days after the Yom Kippur War. And we're here just for 2 days to find out what was going on and go back and tell our story. Tell your story, I should say. So on the second day, I went to Hadassah Hospital, and I was told to go into a room. I go into a room. There's a young man similar in age. I'm in my early 30s. He's an accountant. I'm a businessman. He has 2 children. I have 2 children. And he lost his knee. He has lost his leg above his knee. And that had a traumatic impact on me. I went home to Philadelphia, and I started the first new leadership group for Israel Bonds in the United States. And a couple years later, my dad and 2 of his friends come to my office, and they say, Steve, congratulations. Dad, what are you congratulating me for? well, you are the new president of the Philadelphia chapter of Technion. Really, Dad? Thank you. Thank you. So we revitalized the Philadelphia chapter, and in 1982, we raised about 400,000 plus in 1982 among a young group of people, and we started the first Philadelphia flight control laboratory here at the Technion for Professor Shmuel Merhav, who was a good friend of mine. And so Professor Merhav at that time was working with these small model airplanes. And they mounted a camera underneath it. And in those days, fighting was more organized. So they would fly these small airplanes behind enemy lines, be able to see what the troops' locations were, and also with the cameras be able to understand what the ammunition and supplies that were being taken place. And these airplanes were remotely controlled. So this was really cutting-edge stuff. Today we call them drones. And so this was going on in 1982 here at the Technion. Since then, I've been involved with the Technion for many years. The foundation for my being involved with Technion was my parents, Raymond and Miriam Klein. True Zionists, love this country, couldn't get enough of it, and they basically still fund awards that go to outstanding professors here at the Technion, called the Raymond and Miriam Klein Research Prizes. So that was my foundation. And then I have this friend who's sitting here in front of me by the name of Peretz Levy, who at the time is the president of Technion. And Peretz knew me fairly well. And he figured I was a pretty easy sell. And he was right. So my background is that I was a pilot for 51 years, retired about 4 or 5 years ago. My insurance company would no longer insure me. And I was flying my airplane from Philadelphia to Ben Gurion, a trip I always enjoyed and always got the greatest thrill when we landed at Ben Gurion. And then I could tell my Israeli pilot friends, I flew my own airplane here. But of course, that's a different world. And so I'll tell you how I got into flying. So I'm returning from, on a Sunday afternoon, hot summer day, a trip from Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia in an automobile. And it's bumper-to-bumper traffic. I got 2 kids in the back fighting. She started, you know how that goes? And I am really irritated. And so I decided, all right, that's enough. I'm going to go out and learn how to fly. Not a truly inspiring story, but nevertheless, it's a true story. Nothing simpler than that. So, and so the other factor that Peretz was aware of, that I've been a very strong supporter of the Israeli Air Force. I have many good friends that over the many years we worked together, and I've done, over the past 15 years, I've done 14 projects on the Air Force bases. Life is very difficult on the bases for the families. It's very hard. They're distant. They're located in places where there's not a lot of amenities. And so we've built a lot of different facilities for the families, things like community rooms, crew quarters, living quarters, and kindergartens. And so Peretz had a very good understanding of what my interests were and how I would be interested in this project. So why do I say that this is the most important project I've ever taken on? Because I understand how vital the Israeli Air Force and the defense industries are to Israel's survival. In 1948, or you went to 49, I'm going to go to 48 because I thought this was interesting. The Israeli Air Force started, and Squadron Number 1 initially flew Piper Cubs, you probably all know in the United States, and these British Austers, and they flew out of Sedvi Air Force. The pilots were called bomb chuckers. Why were they called bomb chuckers? They were called bomb chuckers because they flew with the bombs on their laps till they got to the target. They pulled the safety pins. They pulled the window down on the side. They put the airplane in a roll and throw the bombs out the side. Bomb chuckers. That's what the Israeli Air Force started with in 1948. Today, of course, we've got 3 squadrons of F-35s, the most advanced fighter in the world. And by the performance that we have all observed over the last 20 months or so, an incredible group of men and women in that Air Force doing an incredible job. And so you understand as well, the air defense system is also under the Air Force. So words cannot describe the job that the Air Force has done. And where do the engineers, the researchers, and the leaders behind all this come from? Right here at the Technion, the aerospace faculty. That's why I said yes to Peretz, because I felt that this was really important to Israel. But supporting the aerospace faculty isn't just about education, innovation, with enabling technology. I looked that phrase up. It comes from a Technion book. I don't have those skill sets in the digital world to really say that, but I found it. I thought it sounded pretty good. It's also about Israel's long-term security and independence in an increasingly uncertain world. Long before October 7th, I was telling my friends that Israel must become independent from the U.S. when it comes to military defense. Things are changing dramatically in the U.S. due to our education process, our media, and our politics. Since October 7th, there have been many demonstrations in support of Hamas and the Palestinians. In the past 2 weeks, those demonstrations have escalated to murder. We had 2 people murdered in Washington, D.C., and last Sunday, I believe, we had attempted murder in Boulder, Colorado. My daughter, Debbie, is with us, and her husband, Nelson. They have marched with this group on occasion. It's a peaceful group, really just trying to, everybody to remember the names of the hostages. And I'm pleased to say that Debbie and Nelson marched last Sunday, and there were thousands of people in support of the Jewish people, both Jewish and non-Jewish. So what is happening in America is that the anti-Semitism is getting very, very bad. And what's happening is that Americans are divided. Some Jewish Americans are indifferent, and we have no national leadership with regard to anti-Semitism. So what's next for the Israel Air Force and the defense industry? We were talking about, Ori was talking about the air defense system that exists over Israel. 40,000 rockets or missiles. It took over 30 years for people like Ori Ruban, a Technion graduate, of aeronautical engineer before the name was changed, and others to develop the 4-tier system that we know as Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow 1, Arrow 2, and Arrow 3. And now the Air Force is about to release, or is in the process of releasing, Iron Beam. So looking forward to the next 30 years, the next big leap is going to be hypersonic flight. Hypersonic flight means we are talking about Mach 5 speeds at sea level. And this will involve aircraft, this will involve missiles, and this will involve defense systems. That means that there'll be new challenges in aerodynamics, propulsion, heat, and guidance systems. So like I said at the start, I'm proud to be part of this aerospace faculty, the Israel Air Force, and defense industries. The aerospace faculty at the Technion will provide the men and women, students, graduates, and professors who will lead Israel into the future. And finally, let me just say one other thing, and I want to say it to the dean and her administrators. I want to say it to the faculty. And lastly, and most importantly, I want to say it to the students. One thing. May we go from strength to strength. Let's do it. Thank you, everybody, for a wonderful day.
Mr. Klein's extraordinary generosity and commitment to science, education, and the future of Israel will now be forever connected to this faculty's mission. His support will help us continue to reach new heights, both literally and figuratively. We will proceed outside now to unveil the plaque, marking the beginning of this meaningful journey. Thank you.